Hi everyone, I'm Christy Cardinal and this is my supernatural encounters with God. My real encounters with God where I've heard God's voice, have felt His touch, and have felt His tears on my flesh. God is involved in the details of our lives, and lately He's been showing me that He's always been involved in the details of my life. So this is my Beachside series, so enjoy Beachside Stroll while I tell you about an encounter I had with God. So, back in May of 2006, I was at a club with a girlfriend. It was ladies' night, Thursday night, and it was jam-packed. And I hadn't been there but about 10 minutes. And this lady comes walking by, prancing around with her boob job up, and she had on a halter top. It was brown suede, snapped underneath her boobs. And she had on very low-rise jeans. Her waist was bare, long and lean. And she was prancing around, and there was just such a weird vibe in that place. I thought, Lord, I am so much better in this place. And literally, I looked at the door, and there was Jesus standing there. His beautiful bearded face, and his eyes gazing at me. And I turned to my friend and I said, if Jesus came today, he would leave me behind. And she yells, what? Couldn't hear over the thumping of the music and super loud. And again, I yelled at her, if Jesus came today, he would leave me behind. And she just looked at me, and I made my way through the crowd and straight out that door, and I had driven my car that night, which was very odd because she had a Mercedes, I had a Honda. We always went out in her car. But that night I had my own ride. Then I didn't go back for like 2 weeks. And when I returned 2 weeks later, hadn't been there but like 10 minutes. It was the same skanky lady, same vibe. She had on the same outfit. And before I knew it, she was down on the dance floor on all fours doing a dance called the dog. And there was a line of dudes lined up and waiting their turn. And I thought, I am better in this place. And again, I looked at the door, and there was Jesus and his beautiful bearded face looking at me. And I turned to my friend and I said, if Jesus came today, he would leave me behind. And she looked at me and said, what? And I looked and said it again. If Jesus came today, he'd leave me behind. And I headed straight for that door. And again, I driven my own car. A couple of days later, she called me up and said she wanted to meet for lunch and get her house key back. She said she needed it for her son. So I gave her house key back. And then the next day, she called and said she didn't want to be friends with me anymore, that I was being weird. And I cried and cried. I took her roses. I took her bottles of Jägermeister. I took her a 6-pack of Coronas. All the tools that we had in our arsenal of so-called friendship. And as I was laying in my bed, my face buried in my comforter of my 4-poster bed, I felt God say to me, your life is going to get so much better. And then I stopped crying. And I literally never missed her friendship. I never missed her friendship. And my life did get better. That literally was the last night that I was ever clubbing. Now, I've been once or twice, maybe till midnight or so with girlfriends, but never all-nighters like I used to do. And I never missed her friendship. And about a year later, I was in a restaurant eating dinner with some friends, and here she comes prancing over. "Hey, Christy." And I looked at her and I said, "Do I know you?" And she said, "Yes, remember?" And I said, "No, I don't." And then she goes, "Oh, I get it." And then she finished up talking to the others at the table and walked away. And then a friend of mine said, "You should get an Oscar for that." And I said, "Well, I've been rehearsing that for a year." But it felt so good to deny her. And I never missed her. Never. And I haven't missed the clubbing life. And that is strictly God. I followed Jesus out. And now, years later, I see where I met outside those club doors God. He was waiting as my loving Father. He sent His Son Jesus into the club to get His daughter out. And I followed, not once but twice. And I do believe that's the major test of life, in my life. Will I follow Him or will I stay? And I followed both times. So God is involved in the details of our lives. And He's ready to end your way of life and give you His. That is truly, truly the most beautiful and amazing gift. It's priceless. And glory to God. Glory for all He's done. God is involved in the details of our lives. And He changed mine. And He will change yours. So I hope you've enjoyed this story of my encounter with Jesus Came to the Club. Peace, love, good vibes always.